Creating from the Heart, the Artistry of Living. I'm Suzy Vance, and I'm here with Geoff Bevington, who, among other things, does the most amazing murals. So, Geoff, how did you get started doing this?
A good friend of mine named Phil Ye was introduced to me by my twin sister. Phil has never had a job in his life. That's what he said. He's an artist. He's never had to work, but he works incredibly hard. He was traveling the country with a group that he had founded called Cartoonists Across America. And throughout shopping malls and schools and town centers, he had painted murals. And the murals almost always said, read, avoid extinction. So we would promote comics and literacy through cartoons. So I joined him on the tour for a while, and probably with him painted about 60 or 70 murals across the U.S. and one in Angoulême, France. So.
Oh, how did you get to go do the one in France?
Phil was pretty well known in the cartoon industry and in the comics industry, and he was invited in 1992 to go and join the whole U.S. coalition of artists. And he said to me, "You want to go?" And I said, "Sure."
So, isn't it amazing how things show up in your life that you least expect?
Definitely, yeah. So we went and we had a wonderful time. And I mean, anytime anybody asks me, "Would you like to do something art related?" I usually say yes. So be open to opportunities.
And you've recently said yes to the opportunity in Beverly Shores, which we are so grateful for.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. This is going to be one similar to, but different from lots of the murals that I've painted. When we paint murals at schools, we usually have the kids help us paint. It's kind of like Tom Sawyer and whitewashing the fence.
Yes.
But there are varying degrees of artistry that go into having people help you paint. So sometimes you have to go fix it. That's okay. And almost always after the paint is dry, we go in and outline everything in black, and it really pops. It's going to be a little
bit. That's interesting.
Going to be different for this style, but I'm going to have some great folks who live in Beverly Shores help me paint it. So a lot of it is the design, and then I'll have to put it up on the wall, and then I'll paint the background, and folks from the community are going to be helping me paint the different birds and the type.
Because we're doing Birdtown.
Yep, Birdtown, Indiana.
So how did you get into this?
Well, I've just been drawing since I was 11, so I have to say. And like a lot of artists, I mean, you work by yourself, right? But then when you show your art to somebody, you get a reaction, good, bad, or indifferent. And usually I got a reaction of good. Hey, I like that. I like that a lot. So, for that, I would continue to draw and wanted to become a professional artist, like
what
my friend Phil.
Mean?
You make your living from art from the very beginning, whether it's being a designer or, a fine artist. But my dad strongly encouraged me to get a business degree. Strongly, that's what you have to,
Yes.
So I got a degree in marketing. And marketing has been it's been a very good career, but it's also helped me think about myself. Most people, artists in particular, aren't very good at self-promotion. That's tough,
It is.
And even still for me. But when you have to step outside and think about, I've got somebody here, a business or a person or whomever, and I want to help them promote themselves. And it's not just self-promotion, but I want to tell their story to others, and anyone who is inclined would want to listen. So marketing's really helped me in that respect. And then as far as being an artist or an illustrator, a cartoonist or a designer, I'd say cartoonist more than anything. My style tends to more toward the cartoony. But I appreciate the fact that my dad pushed me towards the business degree, but that didn't mean that I didn't spend a lot of time drawing. And then my first job was at an agency, an ad agency, and I spent entirely too much time in the art department. Yeah.
They didn't like that?
Well, it was okay. I got my job done. I did my job, but I always wanted to, what were these people doing? What were these folks doing?
So you're full of curiosity.
Yeah.
I can hear that by traveling to France and always being where you weren't supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I did go back to France in 2016. So big difference in there. And my wife came with me, Lisa. But both times it was odd and serendipitous. At the time that my friend Phil asked me to go to France, he lives in California. He said it's in this place called Angoulême in the south of France.
Okay.
And I thought, wow, the south of France, you know, Côte d'Azur, everything else. No, not really. I mean, it's beautiful, but it's more aligned with Milwaukee in terms of climate and the rest of it. It was not the south of France. But so I went to the library, which we used to do back in 1992. There were card catalogs, and I found in that library, Schaumburg Library, where I lived at the time, there were 13 books on the village of Angoulême. I'm like, wow. So I went looking for them, and none of them were there. They were all checked out. I was really bummed. So as I'm walking out of the library, I see that all of those books and a whole bunch of different things are in a gigantic glass display case, because Schaumburg-Hoffen Estates is the sister city of Angoulême.
Okay.
So I thought, well, that's cool. I reached out to the sister city folks and said, you know, I'm going there with my friend, and we're going to represent the U.S. and do a couple things. And that snowballed into just an incredible event. I mean, when I went there, I was representing not just Phil and Cartoonists Across America and our books and publications, but the village of Hoffen Estates in Schaumburg. And it was tremendous because they roll out the red carpet. And then back in 2016, so fast forward however many years that is, 28 or something like that.
Right.
I had the opportunity to do that again with myself and my wife. And we went out. We stayed with all the folks from Sister City in Angoulême. But the main focus of that particular trip was for me to teach a class on illustration and storytelling to kids, to two different classes, kind of a grade school and then a high school class. Each class was about 3.5 hours. We've done a lot of work well in advance with the folks, with their teachers. And I don't speak any French, but it didn't really matter because we told a story about my character, Steve the dog and the winged tiger, which is part of a book.
Yes.
In that book, they explore Chicago. Instead of sitting inside on their phones or screens, they get outside and they explore the city, which gives both of us, Phil and I, and Phil in particular, because he loves buildings, an opportunity to draw buildings. So we took that premise to France. We took the premise of we are Geoff and Lisa, Steve and Dot. Those are the concurrent characters. And we are going to France. We're going to Angoulême. What would you show us? And we got some incredible illustrations from the grade school and the high school, and they created a book where they told us all about their town and what was great about their town, which is really interesting because it's a medieval French town sitting on a hill surrounded by with the International Comics Museum. So we did that. We did the classes, and then I painted another mural in the lobby of the Comics Museum. And when I say painted, I mean I drew it, and then I had kids from the area and a few kids from Paris that came down, six-hour ride on a bus to help paint the mural. It was a lot of fun.
That's fabulous.
Really rewarding because, I mean, I did paint, but so many people jumped in because at the end of the day, everybody wants to say, I did this.
Yes.
I did this. I worked on that. You see that tree over there? That little rabbit that's got the polka dots all over it? I don't know why rabbits have polka dots, but this one little girl decided she wanted to put polka dots on it. So,
and that was okay. That's
was
good,
fine.
Geoff.
It was fine. That's fine. When it comes to the Beverly Shores mural, I just want to make sure the Oriole is orange. And
There you go.
The cardinal is red. The indigo bunting is a
Blue.
deep blue. And all the rest of it, it's just going to take its own shape. So
that is awesome. That's great. And last year, you did this Andy Warhol thing in the suburbs of Chicago.
Um, I've got some great friends at the College of DuPage Mackinac Center, in particular Diana Martinez. And she runs the MAC. She runs everything about not just the MAC and the Performance Center, but the Cleve Carney Museum of Art. And every 2 years they have an incredible exhibit. 2 years prior was Frida Kahlo, and I had painted a 40-foot by 20-foot mural of Frida Kahlo in downtown Glen Ellen, so that when you got off the train to come to the event, which was incredibly popular, people from around the world came, you would see the mural. And the mural was supposed to be temporary, still may be, everything in life is temporary, but it's up right now. And then 2 years later, she said, it's Andy Warhol. And I thought, Andy Warhol. And she didn't say, do something, Jeff, or whatever. It's just like, it's Andy Warhol. So, of my own volition, I said, wait a minute, Andy Warhol is popular for a lot of things. Don't want to get the quote wrong, but I believe the quote is, in the future, we will all be famous for 15 minutes. Like that specifically. So I said, who here in Glen Ellen, where I've lived for the last 30 years, is famous? Quite a few people, but I picked 4 people. Sean Hayes, the actor, who is a good friend of Diana Martinez's. Laurie Anderson, who is the avant-garde musician. She just got an Oscar and an award because of all the things that she does. She's a filmmaker too, and she lives in New York. She used to be married to Lou Reed. He passed away. And so Lou Reed, Andy Warhol, the Velvet Underground, well, I'm going to pick her. And then there was Catherine Dunham, who was an African-American woman. People say, well, what did she do? I said, she was the African-American Martha Graham. She was incredible when it came to dance, and so many things that she did. And she lived there for a while in Glen Ellen, and there's a museum down in St. Louis that is all about Catherine Dunham. And then a gentleman named Jeffrey Deaver. And Jeffrey Deaver, people would say, who's that guy on the picture? Who cares? Who is that guy? We don't know him. So, well, you should, because he's written, 200 different mystery novels. His novels have been turned into films, like The Bone Collector with Denzel Washington. And if you're a fan of, could be Netflix or whatever right now, but he is currently executive producer, and he has the show called Tracker. So that is his. And so people are like, well, he's just a writer. So he, again, is kind of like the artist. Artists mostly toil in solitude, and then what happens? So he was thrilled. I created a portrait of each of them, 4 foot by 4 foot, in the style of Andy Warhol, but in the style of his pop era, because he had a lot of different eras. So this one was kind of the Marilyn Monroe era, and showed it to Diana. Said it was incredible. She loved it, and we said, now what are we going to do? Well, Diana quickly came up with the idea that we would find 4 people in each of the 26 towns in DuPage County, because this is a College of DuPage, and people came from all around, but promote each town and see if we can get the people from the farthest reaches away from the Cleve Carney Museum to actually come to the exhibit. So a lot of things took place, but essentially we asked each town to nominate 4 people. Now, some of them were famous people. I mean, Jim Belushi from Wheaton, or John Belushi from Wheaton. But others were folks that were deserving of their 15 minutes of fame. And they ranged. I mean, there's a woman in Wheaton who, her grandfather was on the Underground Railroad. She has written an incredible amount of children's books talking about it, and is a renowned publisher, and she was featured. Tommy Skilling, he got his due in Aurora. There were several Olympic athletes, Alexa Knierim out of Addison, I know, Smashing Pumpkins, forget his name right now, but he's from Glendale Heights. So there's a lot of people. Out of what ended up being 120 some odd, Billy Corgan did 124 foot by 4 foot illustrations. There were probably 30 people that you would say are a celebrity, but the rest of them were celebrated.
I love it.
Many had passed on, some through heroic acts, but at every event where we would unveil the portraits, the family would be there or the
Oh,
people,
how
and it was
nice.
incredible. And typically, again, when you're creating art, for me, it's the act of just creating the art. After that, I don't know. It's creating the art. But here it's after that. And what happens is you get people coming up to you and talking to you and hugging you and crying and thanking you. And you're like, whoa, doesn't usually happen to a
That's,
cartoonist or a comic. So,
or
uh,
to an artist.
yeah, to an artist, it was just, it was wonderful and really
15
rewarding.
minutes, more than 15 minutes.
Yeah, I guess I got more than 15 minutes. But it was tremendous, and because of that, I had done 4 people in the village of Hanover Park, which is uh, a community in DuPage County that is kind of far northwest, away from Glen Ellen and College of DuPage, and they had 4 people. One was a woman who, back in the early 1900s, was kind of like a Florence Nightingale. She
Okay.
was a nurse and in the army,
Uh-huh.
and she started some tremendous things. Another was a woman who was extremely dedicated as a volunteer and as a committee person in a township government.
Fabulous.
The other is a gentleman Mickey Boardman, and I can't remember his names. He came from Hanover Park, and he is now the publisher of Paper magazine in New York City. And Paper is, um, it's kind of avant-garde and different and designy, and probably would fit right in with Andy Warhol and the
Uh-huh.
rest of it. And then Keith Semple, who is not from Hanover Park, he is from Australia, but was an America's Got Talent, and he is an active singing performer who is really exciting. And he had lived for quite some time in Hanover Park when he first came to the U.S. So Keith Semple and the rest of those
What
folks.
a deal.
So I did that. That was fun. We unveiled it. They had Keith Semple was there with a little mini concert.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, the Village of Hanover Park asked me to propose a mural. And so that mural was just finished 2 weeks ago, I
Oh
think.
my.
It's 80 foot wide by 8 foot tall. It's on the site of a field house. A really,
Feet.
yeah. It's silhouettes. So, but all the silhouettes aren't black. There is a blue background existing on the actual field house, and all of the silhouettes are different, really bright colors. The left side are primarily musicians and kids playing. So there's somebody on a trumpet and a saxophone, and there's a woman singing, and there's kids on swings and stuff. And the right side are sports. Now, Hanover Park is a really diverse, multicultural community. Their logo has, I think, 9 different colors in it and all kinds of arcs that are supposed to
Uh-huh.
represent people there. So I use those colors for the different colors of the silhouettes. But because it's multicultural, this field house is sitting in a what used to be all baseball and football, but then they added a musical band shell, which is why there's music there, so people could come and enjoy that. And it's not just football and baseball; it's cricket,
Oh, great.
it's girls softball, it's wheelchair tennis. So on the right side were silhouettes that represented those different sports, including baseball and football and the rest. So it was unveiled last week. I think they really like it, and it's going to add some attraction power, I think.
No kidding.
So
That's
yeah.
fabulous. This is amazing, Geoff.
Oh, thanks.
This is really, you live, eat, and breathe this stuff. I can see.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. And the key I always tell people is if opportunity comes your way, say yes. You may be like, I can't do this. I don't know about this. I'm not
Oh.
exactly sure, but you can. And it's not fake it till you make it, because there's a certain point at which you're doing well and people recognize that and they ask you. So
And
kind
they
of push
want
yourself.
some of that.
Yeah, push yourself a little bit. And that's always been the case for me. Whether it was starting out working with Phil and Cartoonists Across America to doing the things I'm doing now. There was a brief period of time where somebody asked me, would you help me design a doll? And I said, design a doll? He goes, yeah, cartoon-like. And as one typically hears when you're an artist, and people are going to laugh at this, the next sentence out of him was, I don't have much money or any money I can pay you, but I want to give it to you. I'll give you exposure. I said, Jamie is my friend. I said, I really don't want exposure. How about a percentage of your business? So, 20% of nothing is nothing or whatever. So that was to design a doll called Hip Hop Teddy Friend. Jamie's a genius, a producer. He figured out how to create all of the mechanisms that would record your voice. So when you press the hand on the bear, so this is 1990s, the bear would say, I'm Hip Hop Teddy Friend. What's your name? And you'd say Suzy. And it would pitch it up. So it would say, I'm Hip Hop Teddy. I'm here to say, I'm here with Suzy. And we're here to play. And then it would do a bunch of different things. So I helped him design, which is not really difficult, designing a teddy bear, but we had to put him in late 90s hip hop attire and design some packaging and do some things like that, because why not? That escalated after we went to the New York Toy Fair, and I did that on my vacation. That escalated into being with him for 5 years, quitting my day job in marketing agency and traveling to and from China. Probably, I think it was 14 different times, spending weeks at a time there.
And now I'm guessing you do your own thing.
Yeah, do my own thing.
Because that got you out of...
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, I still am in marketing. I own the marketing agency. We help manufacturers. So if you're a small manufacturer, chances are you're right on the cusp of either going to be able to make it and grow, or you might be eclipsed by other people, because there's all kinds of different things that happen to people 0 to 5, 6 to 20, and whatnot. And so our company helps specifically manufacturers figure out how to stay competitive and then grow in the marketplace. We do that because I've got some good friends who are in manufacturing, started working with them about 20 years ago. But my experience in manufacturing was being in China. Certainly they do lean and Kanban, but being and watching and seeing what was done there, and then having an incredible appreciation for manufacturing as an industry and what it can do. And contrary to people's beliefs, manufacturing is really thriving in the United States.
Yeah.
There's so many people doing so many wonderful things, and every day is something new and different. So that part I enjoy. But if we all have acts, I guess, first, second, third act. So my next act, I guess, is my third act. And for that, I want to be able to concentrate primarily on art,
on your own art?
On my own art.
There you go.
Yep. I will do other things with and for other people. Why not? But because that's how I advance.
Right.
People ask me to do things with and for them. But yeah, to concentrate on my own art, such as it is. I've got, like most people, you might have a painting you've been working on for a while. I have about 5, but I also have 4 children's books or 4 picture books. Those are things that are written and half illustrated, but not colorized. I will draw them in pencil and then pen and ink, and then scan them and colorize them using Photoshop or Illustrator. So kind of combine all the tools you have, but I'd love to be able to continue to work 10-hour days, no problem there, but have that work be dedicated to creating art. So
that's great. So if somebody wants to find you, where would they find you?
Where would they find me?
How do they get in touch with you?
Oh, Instagram is probably the best place.
Okay.
It's also Facebook, but you can reach me at the @ Geoff Bev. Now, my name is spelled G as in George, EOFF, B as in boy, EV as in Victor. So Geoff Bev. So look for me on Instagram. You can message me. Same thing. I'm Jeffrey Bevington or Geoff Bevington on Facebook. Those are the best places to see me and my art.
Well, I can't wait. I can't wait to see what you do in the future, and I can't wait to see the Beverly Shores mural, which will be completed by?
Probably by the 27th or 28th of June. Awesome. If not the first weekend that we do stuff. Depends how ambitious everyone is. So please stop by. You can either pick up a paintbrush, or if your finger is up to it, you can use spray can a bit because the majority of this mural is going to be done with spray paint.
And this is all at the Beverly Shores Depot, which is the only train station at the crossroads of Broadway and 12 in Beverly Shores.
Yep.
So come on out. Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Geoff. It's been a pleasure.
Yep.
Okay. Creating from the heart, the artistry of living. We'll see you next time.